Thank you all for joining us. Good evening, good night, good morning from anyone that's tuning in on any other parts of the world instead of the Caribbean region. I'm Adriana Salvaral with BVI Finance, and I just want to welcome you all to the second official webinar for the Fintech program that's hosted in collaboration with the Robert Mathavious Institute and BVI Finance, as well as Professor Keith Carter of KBC Global Partners. I just want to give a little bit of an introduction as far as what the Fintech program is. And it came about to support the development of Fintech professionals and was designed with a special Fintech training program for the financial services industry. The course itself, it's 6 weeks of intensive instruction in the fundamentals of Fintech and business. It's a 1 to 4 months project phase of hands-on learning and application. And of course, at the end, professionals will be certified. There's a host of other details that I can get into, but I think persons would like to hear more from the experts, Professor Carter and Director Liebert. So I would just like to give an introduction to them who are here. So Chidi Liebert holds a Master of Science degree in the International Securities, Investment, and Banking from the University of Reading, the United Kingdom, and a Bachelor's of Law honors degree from the University of Essex, United Kingdom, and a Bachelor's of Science degree in Economics and Accounting from the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill Campus, Barbados. Chidi is currently pursuing a diploma in legal practice and is a Commonwealth Scholar and fellow member of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Chidi was recently appointed as the director of the Robert Mathavious Institute of Financial Services at HLSCC. Prior to her onboarding at HLSCC, she served as Vice President of Financial and Administrative Affairs at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College, St. Kitts, where she was able to transform the departments under her leadership and the college. She also spent more than 20 years in commercial banking, serving as Chief Financial Officer of National Commercial Bank of Anguilla and Executive Manager of St. Kitts, Nevis, Anguilla National Bank Limited. Earlier in Chidi's career, she served as a teacher of the Kayan Primary School, St. Kitts, and adjunct lecturer at the CFBC, St. Kitts. So welcome, Director Liebert, and also Professor Carter. His mission is to help businesses achieve value from their data investments by monetizing data and delighting customers with actionable intelligence. He's the author of Amazon's bestseller, Actionable Intelligence, a guide to delivering business results with big data fast. It reached top 100 books in Amazon and top 3 books for competitive intelligence by Cipher Systems. He is a contributing author to the book Leading with IT, Lessons from Singapore's First CIO by Professor Alex Sayo, published by Wiley's 2021. Keith is an IE University Future World Fellow. He has taught at NUS's Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy and was an associate professor at the National University of Singapore Schooling of Computing, and was a founding director at NUS Ripple Fintech Lab, and was a co-founding director at the Crystal Center of Deep Tech Research Center. He has an MBA from Cornell University and a bachelor's in Electrical and Computer Systems Engineering from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Before joining NUS, he worked at Estee Lauder and Accenture. So let's welcome Professor Carter. So I think it's later in the day for me, but I just want to hand it over without further ado so that they can get into the nitty-gritty of why we're here in the first place. Professor Carter or Director Liebert, you can take it away.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and a special good morning. And thank you to Keith joining us from Singapore. Keith, it's morning there for you, early morning, 6:38, while it's evening here for us at the same time. I'm happy to have so many of you join us at this, our second information session for the Certificate in Financial Technology FinTech course. Please allow me just a few minutes to share some background information with you on the Robert Mathavious Institute of Financial Services, RMI. The institute was launched in October 2002 as the Financial Services Institute, FSI, at H. Lavity Stout Community College, HLSCC. It was later renamed after Dr. Robert Mathavious, the former head of BVI's Financial Services Commission, and a huge supporter of our mission and vision here at RMI. For many years, RMI has been providing training, education, and professional development opportunities to support the financial industry. Since inception, hundreds of persons have attained international recognized professional qualifications examined by organizations such as the International Compliance Association, ICA, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, ACCA, the Chartered Governance Institute, UK, CGI, and the Society of Trust and Estate Practitioners. Many persons have also acquired the knowledge and skills necessary to function as competent professionals within the financial industry. Today, as the financial industry continues to be shaped by new technologies such as AI, 5G, quantum computing, and IoT, Internet of Things, it becomes increasingly important for RMI to continue to provide the avenues for professionals just as yourselves who either want a career in the financial industry or are already in the industry to arm yourselves with the relevant knowledge and skills to perform well in the current climate. The offering of the certificate in FinTech allows the Institute to do just that, as FinTech is here and it holds enormous potential benefits to all businesses, both new and existing. That is why it is important for individuals to be prepared, not just for the changing landscape of financial and non-financial products and services and regulations, but also for the new way of life itself. Again, welcome, and I hope to see all of you on the Certificate of FinTech course, which begins on May 15th, 2023. Over to you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Director Liburd. Let me put my camera back on. And now, Professor Carter, please share with our lovely audience what's in store for them.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone from Singapore, and good evening to you if you're over in the Caribbean and amongst the many territories and countries there in BVI. I'm so excited to be able to share with you what's been a transformative journey in terms of businesses and the things that we have learned in 15 years ago, perhaps for some of us, perhaps even 20 or 30 years ago, have really changed, have completely, in fact, in many cases, become obsolete. And so we're here today to talk about what is it that we ought to be using to transform ourselves? How can we deliver change to businesses and governments? And not just in the jurisdiction that you're in, but also globally, because today we don't compete just in a local space. Very many times we compete on a global basis, but that means there's an opportunity too. As you go through this course and pick up some of the skills that people who have advised on creating this course have been able to say, these are the right skills, these are the right talent and capabilities we want you to be able to have in order to make a difference. You're going to be able to compete not just locally, but globally too. And so bear with us as we go through and share with you what the program is about, where the Singapore fit in on this. I hope some of you have come over or perhaps will be planning to. And finally, what does it mean for you? And by the way, I have high expectations, and so we'll dig into that as well. And so the first aspect is that we're here around this program I'm going to walk you through, and then we're going to be open for Q&A. But also, you can always pop messages into the chat. Feel free to, throughout any time, just say, hey, I have a question about this particular slide or what have you. And either someone will address it as we go along. So don't hold your questions to the end, or we'll go ahead and be able to answer as well. There's a few new business models out there. One thing that people, and certainly if you read the New York Times and so forth, data privacy, data is the new oil and so forth. Well, there's something that's a little bit deeper to that, actually. Companies that we know and love monetize answers. It's not in their interest to sell your data. They want to protect that very closely. Their focus is to be able to monetize the answers that we provide in terms of our daily life. Where are we shopping? What are we doing? What are we interested in? What might we buy next? The other aspect of this is that data projects are meant to be business-led. Many times you may have heard, we need data scientists, we need people that are good in AI and so forth. I warn my students here that these days anyone can program, anyone can be a great writer with this new generative AI and ChatGPT. And that's a technology that throughout the course you're going to be able to use. Companies shouldn't be scared or nervous about this technology, except for the fact that it is going to not just, it's not going to eliminate jobs, but it will radically change them. And then finally, emerging technology. What do we do with these digital assets and blockchain and smart contracts? Why are they so important to that last mile of transactions and more? There's a fundamental concept here that we want to be able to pick up, which is the concept of selling one more to one more person. That's what every business would like to do. Or if you're a government, being able to serve one more person than we have been able to before, because we are more efficient, more effective in the way that we are able to use our resources and more. And so I want to just ground us in these principles first. Let's get into a little bit of a case in the first instance. If you go in and start to do data analysis, it's one thing to do data storytelling and talk about what particular relationships, correlations, predictions there are. But for business people, that's all buzzing sound until they hear, well, how much is it worth? So just imagine you're in a business or even in the government, and you want to be able to earn a little bit of extra funding or money as well. What you'll be able to do is say, let's look at the data we have, the information we have on our staff, and would they buy from one of our partners? Would they be interested in? And if so, how much? And so those potential partners for any business could be the merchants, the suppliers that they have, banks, of course, insurance companies, as well as these new digital banks as well. Those could be potential partners. So we might say, okay, we have 3,000 staff. They could be potentially interested in buying a certain amount of product from one of our partners. If we were to advertise, if we were to show them the product at the time of need, then perhaps we could share in that revenue. And not only does their partner get some additional benefit, customers perhaps they haven't had before, they're able to sell one more. And also we as a company are able to get a little bit more money as well as support our staff. For example, there's an insurance company here, and what they do is they say, all right, well, we know that when, for example, HR, human resources, knows exactly when a family has a new child. Let's send a hamper along with a new insurance policy option over to the hospital. So the family gets information, financial literacy. Hey, you have a new kid. Perhaps you should consider making sure that you've taken care of them financially right from the beginning. Or another one that is happening, especially in this time of great change. Can we fill open positions at our partners and improve careers? Sometimes in our organization, we're not changing fast enough, or perhaps we're changing too fast. But if it's one thing to say, okay, we need to transform our workforce and let people go, but it's another, a smart organization says, wait a second, I know what I want my career path of people to be. And in fact, if I pour into the people that are in my staff, support and actually guidance, that's going to happen to build up the whole community. When the tide rises, all the boats go up. And so we can say, are there potential partners where perhaps our staff that we're seeing need a little bit more experience or can use their skills and talents in an even better way, could go over to one of our partners again. And here again, that benefits a couple things. Number one, there could be a financial benefit. We all have, companies that say, hey, if you find me a good person, then I'll pay you a referral fee and such like that. But also that person will feel taken care of, known, really part of the family. So often we say you're part of a family when you join a company. Well, let's make it really feel like that. Fundamentally, though, this all comes down to having the right data, having the right information in the right person's hands at the right time in order to improve outcomes. And that's actionable intelligence. And so here's a room we had that's over here in Singapore at Crimson Logic, and we're in their data center room. They're looking over their projects and systems all over the world to see what's going on. I was with a group that had come from the British Virgin Islands to visit Singapore for a week or so and be able to also go to the Singapore Fintech Festival, which I hope you might come out and join sometime. But here, what they used this for was not only to identify were there any threats or issues that were going on, not only to see that customers were going to be engaged correctly, but also to check one more thing that was interesting. You know that little document you sign when you say at your company, hey, I'm going to use the internet and the computer system and everything appropriately. I'll be using it for company services and what have you. They also use that document, but they were able to check, hey, is someone looking at LinkedIn? If it's a star employee, maybe we should help and make sure that they're satisfied with their job or give them some additional challenges or opportunities. If it's not such a great employee, okay, maybe they should look at LinkedIn more. Maybe we can help them as well. That type of data might feel a little bit scary, but on the other hand, it gives the company a sense as to, well, how do we manage attrition? How do we reduce it, especially of those who we feel like we have a very good partnership and relationship with? Well, what's all behind this and what's coming ahead for us? I was one of the KPMG 30 Voices on 2030. We were looking at and predicting what would 2030 look like. Now, so far, I've been talking about things that have been done for a while, for the past 10 years at least. But let's look forward a little bit here. So ESG, this is the environmental idea and sustainability and governance. I'm a big believer that the governance is the biggest part of this. Having the right discipline to make sure that we are running a sustainable business in a way that, of course, remains profitable. It's a behavior change driver, though, not only for the way corporates work, but also the way customers want to buy. Data, we talked about that so far, and the cross-border sharing is so interesting. Somehow, when you land in Rome or if you land in London, you can access your Google Maps and all your social media without any issues. But other companies and other organizations are saying, wait a second, we have cross-border data, we need to protect it and what have you. What's the policy around this? Being able to have new business models where we actually implement getting to a customer at their time of need, helping them right when they need it is essential. And finally, from a human resources perspective, there's no way to escape this. As a minimum for talent, companies need to look for systems thinkers, people that are looking at, well, how do I put in and enable automation? How do I put in and enable visibility so that we can respond quickly to the changes in competitive environment as well as our customer needs? And design thinkers to continue to iterate and innovate as well. So these are the minimum for talent coming forward, which is why in this course we've pulled together some very good aspects for you to consider and to be able to learn so you can actually deliver on all these things. Finally, one thing I particularly put onto the table for 2030 is that some economies will be fully digital. In fact, here in Singapore, if you go to Starbucks to buy a coffee, they don't take cash. That's just the coffee shop that you have to pay digitally. But the train, you haven't been able to pay cash for more than 15 years. The bus as well, and your normal services. In fact, if you leave your wallet at home, as long as you have your phone, you can make it through the entire day from one end to the other, one end of the island to the other, from work to home and everything else. And so who's this Keith Carter guy? Well, we're all made up of data, and the big words here mean more to me, but the small words also make up who I am. And I hope there's some things that we could have connected on. But there's a few things here that, a few words that are so critical that I'd love for us to understand them. I want you to know a few things from this morning. Decide what type of decisions would you like to be able to make because of what you learned here today, and act. Can you take action as well? Now I'm going to stop here for a moment because everyone has their black screens on and everything, and we haven't seen anybody. I don't even know, am I talking to robots or to real people out there? So can I encourage just a few of you to turn your screens on just to say hello for a second? And also we're going to do one more thing. Thanks, team. You guys are great. All right. And now we've got some more people coming in. Fantastic. Hello, Lucille. Hello, everyone. Thanks for showing us that there's humans out there this morning and this evening on your side. That's fantastic. And I'd love for us to also be able to just remember those three words: know, decide, and act. In fact, I hope that you'll take away from this conversation what you can actually share with others and be able to support them too. This isn't just about you coming in here today and picking up this information. The second aspect here is actionable intelligence, having the right information in the right person's hands in order to improve outcomes. Okay, so let's go a little bit further here. So from our past participants, we were able to see that Fintech, Helen came in and said, look, Fintech is an industry that continues to fuel the BVI economy, continues to. And she was able to use something called UiPath as a robotic process automation tool. And so she felt like, hey, I'm more tech savvy around this. Trevon, we're going to have a little bit of Q&A with Trevon later, and he's going to be able to share some of his thoughts as well. And you'll be able to also share thoughts too. In addition, Trevon shared, if you're looking to boost your skills in the fintech space, well, then you want to take a look into this. He learned about robotic process automation, data analysis, and more. And he was able to actually use that in his work. And finally, Pierre had shared, it was an eye-opening experience, being introduced to existing technologies and actually seeing the use cases, the business cases and everything. But in addition, you work in groups and you deliver presentations on how business can be transformed. And so you're going to learn together, you're going to tap into each other's skills, business skills, technical skills, and more. And then ultimately come up with projects that you can implement right in your jurisdiction. So what are you going to gain out of this? Number one, being able to upskill your mid-career, being able to enable fintech transformation, and then actually, hopefully, you'll go and either establish fintech organizations inside companies you work for. It could be even the shipping department or over in customs. You'll see some of those opportunities. On the other side is, what's the target here? To develop the Caribbean fintech ecosystem, really have local talent serve the local region, and then also be able to compete globally. So in summary, this is a interactive, intensive, I've been told by the participants, we do work very hard on this, fundamentals of fintech as well. And there's leading institutions in BVI, like the Financial Services Commission and Gold Leaf, but also those folks coming in from other jurisdictions. Companies will be joining from and institutions as well into the program. Why? Because they need to understand, of course, what is it that all this does and how it improves their business. And so that then you come in with the skills to deliver those as well. Some companies, some individuals have gone on to actually monetize what they learned in the course and created new businesses, which has been pretty neat. So why should the, why should the Singapore be a model for the BVI and Caribbean? The key here is that you have this set of indexes that talk about where does BVI sit in, where does USA sit in, Singapore. Singapore is typically right at the top of the picture in terms of what's digital, e-governance, being able to look at infrastructure and education and more. So Singapore and the US keep battling back and forth. And so we can imagine that with the stability that Singapore has, it might even be regularly on the top coming forward. Here's one of the examples. When we go to file taxes here, we literally just go in to our tax portal, and I get a little message that says on my phone, it says, hey, Keith, you need to pay your taxes. So I click, it brings you to this portal. I click, it shows me what I owe. Where did they get the calculation for what I owe? Whatever charities I donated to, they already have tracked. Whatever salary I made, they've already tracked. Whatever housing and so forth I own, they already have. So they've done all the calculations. They just double check, is there anything that you don't know that you might want to change or adjust? And then ultimately, I'm allowed to go ahead and say, click pay, and that's it. Taxes are filed. It could take maybe 5-10 minutes if everything's simple and easy. Maybe a little bit longer if you want to think through some things or make some adjustments. So very, very quick way, no paperwork at all, no reason to visit the tax office at all. And when they say, would you like to pay, it shows you which of your bank accounts would you like to take the money from. At least they give you a choice on that. On the other side, we have this productivity around passport renewal. And so here we are able to actually have, all of us have a digital ID on our phone, secured by our eye, our face, our thumbprint, etc. And so the passport, whenever we want to go and renew, can be ready in a week or less. We simply go onto the website, do the link with our phone as well. It authenticates us, new passport can come in, we either go collect it or it gets sent out to us. That's pretty straightforward. I'm really glad for us to be able to work closely with RMI on this, because the Robert Mathavious Institute, I got to sit with Dr. Honorable Robert Mathavious for a bit when I visited BVI a few years ago. And man, what an inspiring person he is. What a stalwart in the industry, and to have this named after him is so wonderful. But it's something to aspire to in terms of the way he transformed the financial services in the whole region. In addition, of course, being able to deliver a course like this to you all is part of his vision, and that vision for all of us to continue to grow together. So with that, we also had advisors that come in and went through the program to say, hey, does this program fit with today's needs? We've had everyone from the World Economic Forum to Bank of New York Mellon, the largest bank in the world, Ripple, which is one of the forward-looking digital asset firms, venture capitalists, Monetary Authority of Singapore, the FSC, and more. And so people have come in to check, hey, would this work? And people that have gone through the program have been hired into these organizations as well. What does it mean for you? Well, these are the jobs that you can get into. Maybe project manager. Well, that's the general thing that we would have. And I'm just going to pause here again for a second. And this device here, we can't use this without multiple talent being involved. It's not just programmers at all. In order to make sure that the screen is right, the language is right, we need psychologists, we need English majors, linguists, in order to make sure that there's a compelling message and automation in place. We need business process owners, we need marketing people, that we need designers. So there's all different types of skills that are necessary in order to bring a digital system to life. And so the purpose of this program is to help people become change managers, because once you implement any type of new system or process, you have to guide people through that. Quality lead, of course, the business analyst, but a next level business analyst, someone who can change a process into robotic process, someone who can take Power BI, which is a data analysis tool, and maybe Chat GPT and do data storytelling through that altogether. Being able to be a robotic process automation engineer. No programming required, by the way, but you can get your whole process moving. And even if you do need to program, these days, it couldn't be more simple. And you'll be able to use, again, the generative AI tools in order to help you. And product manager. This is essential now with all these new capabilities, all the new tools, all the new access to data that we don't want to share, but we do want to monetize answers. We need people who can think intuitively, ingeniously, connect the dots. So this is where your business experience, if you've been in work for 10, 20, 30 years, no problem. We need that experience in order to take things to the next level. So it's not just young people that need to learn fintech. Don't get lost in that. It's everyone that needs to. And of course, blockchain analysis. There's a whole new job, Chat GPT prompter or prompt engineer, and cloud manager. So you always read in the New York Times, wow, new jobs, the jobs are going away and so forth. Never before in human history has there ever been a time when there's been new technology and less jobs. That's never occurred. When we move from farming to industry, a lot more jobs. When we move from industry to internet, a lot more jobs. Now, as we move from internet to AI, that's not going to be different. That's not the way that it works. So let's continue down on here. All backgrounds are welcome, as I've said here. So regardless of where you came from, if you have business, that's great. And you're comfortable with computers, fantastic. If you're technical, that's very good. And hopefully you have some business background so we can connect the dots as we walk through on both sides of the program. But what is the program about? We start off with why fintech, sharing with you the case studies of companies that succeeded and that failed. We get into that product management early and data-driven decision-making. This lays the foundation for the business reason, the government reason, and why you should do this. How? Get into digital assets. You check out smart contracts. You get to build your own robot in the course. You're going to do data storytelling with Power BI and Chat GPT, and then put it into practice. We run the capstone program, which allows you to work with companies in your area in order to do proof of concepts. You benefit because you take the knowledge you've learned and apply it to a business or government problem or opportunity. The businesses and governments get a benefit because they get to see you as talent. Hey, this is a person that might be great to work here. But in addition, they get to see that technology. Oh, we were wondering how Chat GPT might be useful. Let's go ahead. Now that we've seen it, let's go ahead and implement it. And they do that in a relatively safe, low risk way as well. So here's the program structure. We walk through 6 weeks really of good training for you, hands-on. Week 7, you get into cybersecurity and privacy management. And this is so essential because if we digitize things, we need cybersecurity. If we need answers from data, we need to make sure we have privacy in the right place. And then, of course, your group presentations. We're always going back to that. That's a regular aspect because we need to be able to explain why these things are so important. But to get to the why, you need to then know about the how and what as well. So we want you to constantly be demonstrating that. Our dates, Monday and Wednesday evenings, Zoom sessions from 7 to 9 p.m. That's 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. here in Singapore. So we work together on this. And we make sure, because it's on Zoom, it allows people from all around the region to be able to join in and participate. As long as you get a quiet space, someplace where and we've seen plenty of kids come in and join sometimes. They're quiet as well. They can be. And so then we also get the practical training in, the individual work. We like to see as individuals that you're able to deliver. You're able to create your own robot yourself truly. Then you work as a group. That way everyone can contribute as a group. And then we go in and do the capstone, which pulls everything together. So that's our pedagogy. I hope you can see that the foundation is you as an individual, then you build that team, and then you hopefully go out and transform the industry. And this is all commencing on May 15th. Now, we don't just teach technology. We also share leadership principles throughout this program. Similar to having the fact that you're going to be able to access and use ChatGPT to do your work. By the way, that for some, that have used that before, that doesn't mean that you get to do your work easily. That means we just have higher expectations for the work that should be coming from you. But in addition, you have the leadership principles here. Being able to go through how Amazon established their leadership principles to become one of the world's most loved companies as well. I like one in particular here, which is leaders are right a lot. If you ever go on an Amazon interview, don't think this is because I'm right and so you have to listen to me. That's actually the opposite. Leaders ask questions and try to disconfirm, try to make sure that their perspective is wrong. Will you hear me on that? They try to make sure their perspective is wrong. They let other people come in, criticize, attack, show the risks, show why it won't work. This way, when they are finished through going through that fire, if you would, that crucible, then the idea that they have is going to be more right and protect it from attack and issues and so forth that perhaps if you just say I'm right, you would miss. And so I love this kind of look here. And each one of these will be things that we take a closer look through. Well, what's the final goal for this? The goal for us all is to be able to future-proof, for you individually, systematically upgrade yourself into the hottest in-demand technical skills. The second is, make sure our organizations are established so they can have the right talent. They know who to hire, and they can recalibrate their approach to hiring. And lastly, for all, to be able to grow our own talent, to be able to have in each of the jurisdictions, a local talent that can deliver on the transformation projects, on the speed, on the competitiveness that we've always wanted to try to achieve. So I'm going to stop here and just check and see, are there any questions out there for us? Any questions? Ryburn asked, how important is it for participants to have a strong technology and IT background to be successful in this? We do during the interview test a few things. Number one, because it's on Zoom, you have to be at least comfortable with Zoom. Hop in, turn things on, get things going, and what have you. So you want to have that base of technology. Number two, you will have to install some software and be able to access things as well. And so you would want to be able to be comfortable with that, be in a position where you can actually, again, work through things and feel like, okay, I kind of know where my computer is and what I can do. Ideally, you have one or the other. You either have a strong business background and you are interested in IT and relatively comfortable, or you have a strong technology background and have some good, decent business background as well, because then you know how to connect the dots between them. In addition, as you go through this program, by the end, you'll be able to have connected the dots on these things and be able to come out and take even more advanced courses. But more importantly, you'll be able to go back to your business, back to your government role, and be able to deliver more advanced solutions, both on the business side and the IT side. But remember what I said at the beginning, these transformations are meant to be business-led. Other questions? Other questions? I'm going to invite Trevon up here in a moment because he went through the course, and he'll also be able to share a little bit with you as I do some Q&A with him. Take just one more moment here. Any questions so far?
Hey, good evening.
Hi, Edward. Yeah.
Yes, I think you gave a very excellent overview of the expectations of the course. I am from St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm the head of the Inland Revenue Department there. And I think this course has some very much potential in terms of transforming and adding value what we do as a tax administration. In fact, we often take a look at what's on Singapore website in terms of enhancing what we do as a tax administration. Just as my question that I had, like the other person, I'm very excited about the course, but I'm primarily an accountant, but I love technology for as a means of innovating. I think the person asked the question is, do you have to really have a very strong technical background, or as a business user, just understand how you could use technology to enhance the business?
Edward, that's a great and perfect question. Let me show you what we will be going through in a little bit more detail. So, and then I'll answer your question, but I want to show the data first, so that way you see that and I'll come to it. So you start off with the future of fintech and future of finance, rather. So the trends and emerging technologies, right? So we get into the case studies, what's worked, what hasn't. We get into design sprint, and this is where you go do rapid innovation, which enables you to think about what is necessary in the marketplace. This is a class where you actually have to go out and understand the local market, then come back and do product design together as a team. Then you get intelligence for business. So you're using data for better decisions. We've got some great speakers lined up for you. A gentleman from named Ed Hunter, he's from Procter & Gamble. And also Donald Farmer, he was head of business intelligence over at Microsoft. They're going to be sharing with you how to use this. And then finally, we have a fellow colleague of mine, Professor Anand, who will come in and teach Power BI. No programming in Power BI. You can, but in the first instance, for the depth, for getting the business knowledge, you don't have to program. Then we get into robotic process automation. I get to take you through that work. And here we're going to automate some of the key opportunities and remove your bottlenecks in your processing, right? So you have to have a business mindset to know where in the business are there bottlenecks, what's slowing things up. And you also have to be able to communicate, hey, this robot's not going to take your job, but it's going to make your job a higher value job. Bless you. Then from a data to insights, again, into your analysis there. Blockchain. You will need to touch a bit blockchain, feel what that's like. This will be a relatively tougher part of it, because you'll actually go into a smart contract and need to do some work on that. And so that requires some good knowledge about, you'll gain good knowledge, I should say, not required, but you'll gain good knowledge on network, on security, and so forth. Then that leads us right into cybersecurity and privacy. And this is very good hygiene for how you should manage your own personal computer, your business computer, the enterprise computer. And we'll have a speaker from the banking industry share about strategies for how they protect cybersecurity for banks around the region here in Southeast Asia. And then finally, you get into your group presentation. So that's where you would have taken the business problem you had learned about in the community, in the business area, in the government area. You've added in one of these solutions or more into how that can be solved. And you've tied a business benefit to it. And when I say business benefit, I also mean, of course, government efficiency and so forth, just what have you. All right. So does that help, Edward, in terms of the framework there? And so we do expect you to feel comfortable with technology. We need that at least. But then you don't have to be a top line programmer. You do not have to be, right? You can be at least interested in these technologies, and you'll be ready to make a difference in them. And you have assignments that'll guide you along. We have a teaching assistant along with us too, through the journey that you'll be able to ask. And of course, most importantly, it's building up the community amongst each other. So in your cohort, you'll work together and support each other and talk and be able to succeed together. Edward, does that help?
Yes, I think that helps very much. I think some of the core topics you touched is some things I deal with as the COO in terms of cybersecurity and always looking for the latest innovation and how we could add value to the business. I think I feel much better now. Thanks,
All right.
Professor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thanks for coming off mute to ask. You don't have to type it in the chat. You can just come off mute, just like Mr. Gift did here, and asked us a quick question. I'm going to ask Trevon to come on up. Hey, Trevon.
Hey, Keith. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Hey, you went through this course last year.
Mm-hmm.
And your thanks a lot for the quote that you gave right for us that I shared right at the beginning about how you got to use robotic process automation and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
One question that I haven't seen yet is how intensive is the course, Trevon? Just to set everyone's expectations, where would you, what would you share, or how would you describe the workload?
It could be intense in different places. I think that the course really begins at a good point, at a good pace. And then as time goes by, it definitely does ramp up. And if I can offer any recommendation to anyone that's interested in being a part of the course, just as soon as you receive information, you do your research, you take time to review, and you'll be able to keep up with the content.
Time management.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Trevon, just from your perspective, the group projects, there's always opportunities and risks around group projects. What did you feel about as you went into the groups, that balance of skills and communication? What or something that you learned from that, or some ways that you felt that doing the group projects was helpful?
It was very helpful because I think it reinforces learning how to collaborate with others, which I think, especially in tech, it's very important. The fintech world is very important key. You'll come across different persons from different walks of life, different skill sets, different industries, and you need to be able to find a way to collaborate for the greater good. And I do agree one thing with the group assignments. It kind of turned competitive, so to speak, between different groups, which is actually good. Competitiveness is really good because I think from our cohort, and what I can definitely say is you really saw the resilience from the people, and it was really inspiring to see everyone, doing as best as they can with every assignment to try to be the best group. And I think it really brought the best out of us.
And we saw the best, Trevon, that's for sure. We saw you guys do very, very well.
Yeah.
Around that, you learned robotic process automation, you learned Power BI. Was there a particular class or technology that stood out for you as my last question to you?
I would have to say all. It's hard to pick a favorite. It's honestly hard to pick a favorite. I did enjoy the robotic process automation assignment, even though I think I speak for the class to say that it really gave us a lot of gray hairs. We were up all night trying to figure out how to write the process for the robot to reconcile the spreadsheets. But if I'm forced to pick two, it would definitely have to be Power BI and, a robotic process automation.
Fantastic. All right, Trevon, we've got a question here from the audience. Cardigan said, I'm in the IT and business sector, very interested in RPA, blockchain, cybersecurity. Are there any key AI tools to research or review in advance that would assist in this course?
Of course, ChatGPT. It's the hottest thing out there right now. The most obvious choice. Start there. And I can definitely tell you that I utilize ChatGPT in my career as well. I pretty much use it almost every day. So you can definitely start there and get yourself ready for the course using that.
That's right. And Trevon, that's a great point. You know, ChatGPT is something that we allow everyone to use during the class. And we feel that the reason is we're not going to grade you on your essays and what have you, although you do need to write some things. But what we look for is how are you synthesizing your knowledge of the technology with business, right? And so in business, you should use every tool you can. Yeah, there's no reason to not see something. Let me ask everyone here a question. Have you all seen ChatGPT as yet? Have you started? Is there anyone here that would like to see what ChatGPT is like? Just as so that we know what we're talking about. Anyone raise their hand, or you can type in the chat you want to see it. Okay, I see at least one hand is up. Oh, a few hands. Okay, great. So let's take a quick look at this as well. And if you want to type into, oh, Edward said he uses it every day. Okay, great. Edward, and anyone, if you want to ask this bot something, I'd be happy to, you know, ask it on your behalf. But let's take a quick look at it here. So this is ChatGPT. You get to choose different models. And what that means is generative pre-trained models means they have large language models. They have lots of data that they've used, the history of the world, basically, in multiple languages as well. And one thing that some of us might have, let's say that you, and Trevon, you might want to help me out here. I'm thinking what question to ask ChatGPT as well, or something that might be interesting. And anyone can share if you want me to ask this bot a question. Let's just ask a quick thing here. Let's say I put in, what are some places I should visit in the, let's just say BVI, to make sure it gets BVI. And we have a good chat question here too. All right. Are these, Trevon, are these some places I should go?
Definitely, definitely. I think those are some of the best.
Okay. Good. It's selected a good set of places to visit as well. So, you know, and you could, what were we going to say?
No, you go ahead.
I like this question here. So Edric had asked, how can Caribbean countries effectively model the success of Singapore? Well, let's take a risk here. I've never asked this question and it's not, you know, when you do technology demos, it's always a risk, right?
Excuse me, Professor Keith, may I make a comment?
Yeah, please.
Just before you proceed on to something new.
Okay. And I'll just answer this question first here. And here we are. I know we're running out of time, but I just wanted to highlight. So it's come in and shared an answer to your question, Edric. Quite a bit, promoting diversification, reduce reliance on any one industry, emphasizing technology and innovation. That's what we're trying to do here with this course. Strong infrastructure, foreign and lots of foreign investment. That's true. So let me stop there. It can really help you when you get a question in. Yeah, and someone had said that they want to ask something. Please go ahead. Someone had said they
Yes,
want.
sorry, Professor, it wasn't really a question, it was just a comment on the question that you had asked ChatGPT regarding the BVI, and I noted that it started with the baths, which I recall reading. It was listed in an article as the 8th wonder of the world. They have them in order, wonders of the world, and the baths was listed as the 8th. And I thought, wow, it started with that one. I mean, the other places are fantastic to visit, but I thought it was, admirable that it chose that one as number 1.
Wow, good. So I can trust it more and more, you're saying.
So it appears.
Great, that's great. Yeah, it's a very interesting. You can also ask it, let's say, I want to start a new chat. And I say, I would like to interview as a software engineer at Amazon. Can you ask me questions so I can prepare? So it gives me some thoughtful interview questions that I could do here. And so then I could say, act like an interviewer and ask me the first question. So it can ask me questions and I need to respond as well. And so this is why they said that ChatGPT was able to pass the interview, because it can ask you questions. Of course, it can answer questions and so forth. So really powerful technology today that are in our hands, and that really will change the way we do our jobs. I think you can get at least, 5 times speed increase in any work that you're doing with this thing that relates to data and information. All right. Well, let us get ready to wrap up here so that we finish right on time, or just a little bit after. We have some great faculty members coming in for you to be able to talk with you through this work. I do want to just highlight about the capstone. The capstone is an essential part. So we give you the weeks in terms of learning, but then we also take you into the capstone itself, which is where you work with a business or government and deliver a project, or you work with us, depending. You may also work on an internal thing that we curate for you. It takes several months to get through because it's a good amount of work, and to actually build something, you actually get to build, an app or some sort of process or robot that will help automate things. You calculate the business benefits, you figure out the commercialization of it. And like I mentioned at the beginning, some people have gone and actually turned their project into a real business, which is so exciting, right? Because then you're contributing to everything, jobs, economy, and so forth. And that leads me to the last point here. You guys remember what the key 3 words of the course are? Anyone remember the key 3 words that I shared at the introduction? Starts with no. Trevon, you're on the hook too, okay?
All right. Know, decide,
No,
and
decide,
act.
act.
Know, decide, and act. That's right. Those are the key 3 words. I hope you got to the perfect 100% Chidi. I hope that you got to learn a few things today. I hope you'll decide how you want to use those things, and ultimately take action, and in any direction, take action, because we all have a responsibility on this call to share with our loved ones, to share with our friends, hey, did you know that there's new jobs in fintechs like prompt engineer, like product manager? There's new technologies we can be using in our businesses and government. We should at least play around with it in the community and our business, or perhaps even come over to this course. And one last thing, if you do come through the course, we do have high expectations for you. I personally do. I hope that you'll take whatever you learn and are able to create 5 more jobs in your jurisdiction with this, right? Because it's not all about us. It's about how we can improve the lives of others. Let's do this together. I'm looking forward to working closely with you. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to the HLSCC team. You've registered, they have your information. I know you have theirs in order to come here today. And looking forward to hear great things from all of you. I'll put my LinkedIn in the chat if you want to connect. And with that, I turn it back over to Chidi and for us to close up.
Thank you so much, Keith. And I want to thank everybody here for coming out and joining us here at this session. It was informative. I hope all of you, your questions have been answered, that you are excited to get started on May 15th. Please sign up. We have your email addresses. And so what we will do is to send you the link for the application form that you can sign up as soon as possible. The deadline date, it's close. It's April 14th, I think it is, April 14th. And you begin exactly 1 month later. So everyone, please ensure that you sign up as soon as possible. There's an interview process. We, as Keith mentioned, we'll conduct an interview with you to make sure that you are ready for the course, and then you would be signed up. There's also the opportunity for a payment plan. So if that is desirable of you, you can ask us here at RMI, and we'll be happy to assist you as well. Until next time, Keith, on behalf of yourself, myself, Trevon, BVI Finance, we want to say thank you very much. I see Trevon has put the form in the chat for you, so you have it there. We'll reach out to you as soon as possible as well. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for joining us. Bye.